Hello, my name is Michael, and in this presentation I'll be going through the development of my Advanced Specialist project. This talk is going to be divided up into four main sections. First, I wanted to talk briefly about my research question. Next, I wanted to go into depth about the development stage and explain how I overcame different challenges. Finally, there will be a brief demo of the project, concluding with an evaluation of my progress and future development. At the start, we were tasked with deciding on the area of focus for our project. It could be either game target or gameplay focused. Game target looks at things outside the game, such as the game's purpose, target audience, and genre, while gameplay looks at elements within the game, such as rules, levels, and mechanics. From my research question, I wanted to base it on gameplay elements such as mechanics and the control scheme. I researched different ideas and came across the concept of game feel. By reading academic papers and watching YouTube videos from Game Maker's Toolkit, I decided to look into player movement in games and how mastering movement mechanics can lead to a sense of flow in the game. With this, I wanted to look into procedural animation and how to design games of skill and mastery with the use of virtual characters. At the end, I wanted to produce a third-person character controller and with an obstacle course level to test the movement mechanics. At the time, I was watching a lot of professional tag and always had the idea of creating something similar. So I came up with a vision board on Pinterest based on what I wanted the movement to look like and the type of environment it would be set in. There's a link to the full vision board at the top of the screenshot. Here's a brief outline of the core features of the player controller prototype. I wanted the player to be able to combine a small amount of actions to create a deep skill set to master. This then led to designing a control scheme that reflected that. I created the Trello board to manage and break down tasks I needed to complete. This helped me track the progress of the project and see what parts I needed to work on. To make it clear visually, I divided the board into 6 parts. Risks were used for times when I came across an unexpected problem that was impeding my progress. Let's explore some of these further. I don't have any previous experience modeling, rigging, and animating characters, so this was a big problem, and as this was a significant part of the project. To overcome this, I looked at examples of character controllers made in Unity. I found a tutorial on YouTube which goes through the process of modeling, rigging, and animating a simple character, and then using that model in Unity. It was really easy to follow and implement, and I learned a lot about blending the process. However, I didn't want to spend too much time on keyframe animations and creating different animations for it. During that time, I came across Mixamo, which has a library of pre-made animations and can rig imported models. This would save me time, but I was still apprehensive about using any sort of rigging technique. To be honest, I wanted to avoid the whole process completely. Going back to my lack of expertise in 3D animation, I thought learning about procedural animation would be a much better approach than standard keyframe animations, which would involve rigging, which I wanted to avoid. Techniques such as inverse kinematics and ragdoll physics are used in games such as GTA, Uncharted, and Uncharted. I wanted to go one step further and use active ragdolls as used by Gang Beasts, shown in the clip above, in the slide. I thought this would give me the unique feel and would challenge the control of the player and would mean I wouldn't have to do any rigging. Luckily, I found an example on Unity of a simple player character that's an active ragdoll. The prototype was both informative and time-saving, which was crucial, having a short time frame. From the project, I gained a better sense of the inner workings of active ragdolls, which involves a lot of calculations for character balance and motion. However, from controlling the ragdoll, it lacked the precision and tight controls I was looking for. In the end, I decided to blend the two techniques, using pre-made animations in Mixamo and then using inverse kinematics with foot placement. I also had the idea of using ragdolls whenever the player fell from a high platform. I began working on the player controller with a small prototype, with a model I found online and animations from Mixamo. The feet appear to bend and stick to the floor, but that's down to the model itself and not the rig or animations. Then I changed the model and started playing with different blend tree techniques. One-dimensional blend trees are good for blending walking and running animations, but to add turning animations, I found using 2D blend trees helpful. Here's a screenshot of a one-dimensional blend tree I used. From there, I started to work on the jumping animations. Jumping was a bit complicated as I had to chop up different jump clips to create smoother transitions and allow the player to control different states, such as a charged jump. So here you can see the charged jump. And then here you can see the player falling from a high platform, but when they land, they immediately roll. I had a few problems with the landing animation as it would play before the player actually landed. In order to fix that, I used animation events to trigger when I wanted the landing animation to play. Then I ran into a scheduling problem as I realized I spent too much time on movement, jumping, and initial research, and didn't have enough time for the other mechanics as well as the level design. I did plan for this though, and while working on the movement, I made a lot of progress on the camera system too. However, at this point, movement still didn't feel as responsive as I would like, and I may have overscoped. So I decided to cut the grabbing and crouching mechanics to hopefully finish the project on time. Then I focused purely on programming the rigid body controller and a simple level using ProBuilder. With that finished, I started planning how I wanted the layout, how I wanted the level to look like. My plan was to create different sections that the player can explore, which tests different areas of movement for the player. For example, moving up steep slopes or platforming. I re-imported my character animations and combined it with the rigid body controller I worked previously. The result was not amazing though. Was not was not what I was expecting. Turning the tight corners of the maze was difficult, and I was constantly fighting with controlling the camera. The maze itself was quick to build using the polyshape tool in ProBuilder, but the actual controls of the player was unsatisfactory. To add on top of this, I then tested how wall running would work and imported a wall running animation. Again, the results weren't the best as the animation wouldn't trigger, and if you held the jump button, the player would glide upwards along the wall instead of bouncing off it. Well, no. Well, yeah, it was supposed to glide upwards. Okay. Time was not on my side, and I still had to create a finished level, so I decided to scrap wall running and and focus on movement and jumping. I simplified things further with the level and focused on working features such as jumping, movement, and a bit of wall jumping as well. So here's a glimpse of the final scene, and I'll show you a quick demo now. So here's the entrance, and then you walk into this little kind of like playground area with some interactive objects that you can bounce off and that can push you upwards. Here's like a moving platform. As you can see, the player kind of you have to play kind of moves as the platform is moving, so that's still kind of rough as well. I also added like a little hidden um, area in which you can go to get to the top of um, the like play area. um, that was inspired by like Super Mario no Mario Super Mario Odyssey. Yeah, sorry. Um, as I was like designing the level, I was kind of like playing Super Mario Odyssey to kind of like get some ideas for things I could build to test the level. Whoops, what's that? Sorry. Oh, cool. Um, so on review, I achieved my end result of creating a third-person player controller with a simple level, but I wasn't able to execute my ideas thoroughly and answer my research question. In my opinion, I think I found out that I have a good grasp of creating player controllers, game feel, and building levels, but I need to work on my animation skills. I should have built my confidence with beginner animation techniques before moving to more advanced ones like procedural animation. Throughout the project, I took note of the things I would like to improve in the future and base future projects on. I would definitely like to improve my animation skills and gameplay programming. There's a couple of resources I've already bookmarked, like Mix and Jam channel on YouTube and some Udemy courses too. Oh, my bad. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, so that's for that. And then, okay, cool. Thank you.